I'm rocking with G-Sportz.
Preview.
Well, first off, thank you for having me on, man. Big shout out to you for everything you've done, launching your brand over the last few years and level you've gotten into, man. It's a testament to the work you've put in, So shout out for me. I've always had a respect for your grind. As far as what we're doing right now, man, it's a everyday change. For us coaches, we like to try and be very organized and have our, weeks and months mapped out as far as how we want to have workouts and give the kids a layout of, what days they're going to have off and, what days, what we plan to do each day. But with everything we got going on right now with COVID-19, it's been a different grind. It's been different, been a lot of learning for all of us. So we've done a pretty good job of, getting our kids to understand the importance of social distancing, not quarantining, but I would say just isolating themselves in their rooms after workouts, understanding all the protocols, man. Washing their hands after everything, hand sanitizing, immediately taking showers after workouts, anything that we can do to prevent, anyone from coming down from it so we can continue to keep things rolling over here. Our kids have done a pretty good job of, learning throughout this process as well with us. So it's been different. It's extremely different. But, we're all happy to be back in the gym as far as that goes. As far as everything going on with Black Lives Matters right now, it's just been trying to educate our kids as much as possible about being the change. A lot of them are just, they're trying to figure this out, trying to understand it. It's still a lot that we're learning, for us in our age right now. But we're just trying to get them to understand that they are the guys that can have the change, understanding the importance of voting, understanding, that they have a voice, they have a platform and how to use it, making sure they're organized with how they want to go about these things. We're supporting them as much as possible, but we want them to be organized and have a plan and, make sure they know how to attack that plan the right way. And then also being smart, because, as we see on social media and we see on the news, it's a lot of wild things that's been going on at some of these protests and stuff. So we want to make sure that they, protect themselves and know their surroundings as well out there.
Your squad, or I don't want to say your squad, used to be your squad. You kind of reneged on them since LeBron James then came into town. But y'all, your Lakers up 2-1, man. You ain't been saying nothing about it. And I just kind of want to go back on something I told you when we signed, did that sign and trade with Russell Westbrook, that was a bad move. And I know you've been paying attention to this series. We down 2-1, and the antics that Westbrook been putting on in this series. What's your take on it? And I just want to hear you say G was right.
But can I really say that though, G? Westbrook, he struggled in game 2. He was good in game 1.
In 3, he was good until the 4th.
Well, again, he was good until the 4th, but the Rockets as a team didn't have a good 4th quarter. So I need to see the Rockets as a team make some type of adjustment to when the Lakers say, okay, we're going to double LeBron or double James Harden, get the ball out of his hand at all costs, and other guys have to step up and make plays. I have to see something different, or I need to see them do something, have some type of wrinkle to counter what the Lakers doing. But the other part of it, G, and we have to give, I don't think he gets enough credit because Rajon Rondo has been extremely good these last 2 games.
Definitely.
And me personally, I've always been a fan of Rondo. I didn't think he still had that left in him.
Me either.
But he's been the difference these last 2 games.
I'm not going to disagree with that at all. The way Rondo played last game, just controlling the pace of the game defensively, then when he hitting jump shots, I mean,
that's the part that's been crazy.
Yeah, he's down there in his prime again. You know, he looked like Celtics. But I'm not putting it all on Westbrook. That's not what I'm doing. But what I'm saying is, you know how this go. When you have a superstar on your team, which Russell Westbrook is a superstar, when you make boneheaded decisions down the stretch, which he's been known to do in the past, that's why KD left him. That's why Paul George left him. You know, when you do stuff like that in clutch situations, I just got a big problem with that. And I just think that had he made better decisions down the stretch in that fourth quarter, even though we wasn't playing good as a team, I think we could have ended up winning that game. But Westbrook just was, you know, trying to go 1-on-3, split a double team, turn the ball over, take ill-advised shots. Sometimes he was coming on the court, he wouldn't even pass the ball. He'll just come down, shoot the ball with 19 seconds on the shot clock. I have a real problem with that. We all know that if the Rockets want to win, they can't play hero ball. It can't happen. So
yeah,
and it leads me back to what I said before. If we would have never traded Chris Paul, I think we up in this series right now.
So here's, you know, I always got to have a counter for it, right? So we say had you guys not traded Chris Paul, you're up in the series. But my question is, would Chris Paul have been the Chris Paul we watched in that 7-game series if he didn't get traded? Because when Chris Paul got traded, Chris Paul went and changed his body up and went got in way better shape than what he was when he was in the Rockets uniform.
Well,
and that took his game up another notch too.
Right. So why you don't think he would have did it if he was still with the Rockets?
Because he was out of shape the last 2 years.
Well, this year he looked at like a 25-year-old Chris Paul.
He did, but also it took him getting traded to a team that had like 0.27% of making the playoffs. and he took that with a chip on his shoulder, and he was like, I'm gonna prove y'all wrong. And he did a hell of a job with that. But if he was still with the Rockets, would he have put that time into his body? I don't know.
I think
you know
so. I think so. Chris, CP3, that last year with the Rockets, I think that was a humbling experience for him. I think that it put him in a situation mentally like, look, I got to do some things with my body if I want to keep my career going and still play at a high level. And he's done that. And
yeah.
But my question is, and I know you don't like LeBron James, you don't really care if they win tonight, but do the Rockets have a chance to win this series still?
I believe so. Because again, the Rockets have to win tonight. Most important thing, they have to win tonight. If they win tonight, you immediately put all the pressure back on the Lakers in a Game 5 set. You immediately put all the pressure back on them. Because, again, everybody thinks the Rockets losing the series. But, like the other night show, the Rockets have shown Russell Westbrook, James Harden can offset LeBron James, Anthony Davis production.
Mm-hmm.
The role players, Jeff Green, Austin Rivers has to eventually show up to the series at some point. Eric Gordon has been, pretty good. He didn't have his best game in Game 3, but if Eric Gordon comes to play, you have to be able to offset. I thought the difference for the Lakers was Rondo and Kuzma and their play.
Hey, hold on now, LeBron put his cape on now. He put his cape on.
He had like 7 points in the second half. Let's be honest.
Your hate for LeBron is getting really out of hand.
It's not getting. It's been there for a long time, G. He had 36. James Harden had 33. Anthony Davis had 26. Russell Westbrook had 30. All that's offset. All that's offset, G.
want the man to do? What you want? You want the man? You want the man to come out and dunk from the free throw line? What you want him to do?
Say, bro. Hey, look, my issue with LeBron James is not even LeBron James. It's his fans that have made losing cool. And that's my biggest issue. Losing became cool when LeBron James started doing it. I have an issue with that, G.
Got you. I got you. Well, my finals prediction, like I said I said this before the bubble started, even in the regular season. The Celtics and the Clippers is my finals prediction, and I got the Clippers winning it all.
That's a very good choice. That's a very good choice.
Do you have a rebuttal to?
Huh?
Do you have a rebuttal?
When the bubble started, I took your Rockets to the finals. Your Rockets. I took your Rockets against the Celtics.
You got too much basketball knowledge to even remotely think about picking the Rockets to go to the finals.
Gee, me and you've had this conversation before. The Rockets have lost to the Warriors 3 out of the last 5 years. If it was any opportunity for them to finally make it, especially in this bubble setting with the whole small ball deal, which they've done a very good job of defending, which y'all have never done before over there.
Right.
They've done a very good job of defending, and I just thought with their ability to shoot the 3 ball, being in a shooter setting in that small bubble like that, not being in a big arena, I thought that could cause trouble for some people. And it has proven that it could. But they got to win tonight if they want to have a chance. And
I know last year was your first year at UNO, and before you got there, Coach Les has had his share of successes. He's been there. I remember in 2017 when he made it to the tournament, and a kid from my hometown, Nate Fry, who went to Homer Christian, was a big part of that national that tournament run that year in 2017. And now he's added you to the staff. Just talk about y'all Coach Les' success before you got there and how you trying to add value to that staff and to that program and trying to get back to the tournament and get back to the top of the Southland Conference.
Well, I'm extremely thankful that Coach Les gave me the opportunity to join his staff. Coach he has 20 years of success in the state of Louisiana, 11 years as an assistant at Northwestern State University. Had a tournament appearance up there. Actually, one of the more notable tournament upsets when they beat Iowa back in I forgot what year it was, 2005. I want to say when they upset Iowa. Tyrone Mitchell, Jermaine Spencer, Kobe Bardman, Cliff Lee. I mean, the list goes on and on. But he had a bunch of Louisiana guys on that roster, and they were very talented. And they went out and had that one shining moment like we all like to watch at the end of the tournament.
Yeah.
But Coach Les, the way he's had his success is just outwork everybody. Just get in here, as player, what he preaches to the players is get in here and outwork people, work harder than the next man. How can you bring one of your teammates along to get them to work just as hard as you? And then for us as coaches, he challenges us the same way. What are you doing to outwork the next coach? What are you doing to bring the next player on board? How are you helping that kid get better? It's not just the in-practice stuff with him. It's are you out on campus sitting down having lunch with them, building real relationships with them? Are you going over by the dome? Are you going to study hall and just sitting down with them and seeing how they are on the day and letting them see you somewhere else besides the practice gym? And as far as, with me joining the staff, I mean, Coach Dwayne did an awesome job here, and he was fortunate to move on to the University of Nevada. And for me, I mean, he just, me having some head coaching experience, me having a ton of experience in the state of Louisiana, it was a great fit. So my thing is just to just continue to help build what he's been doing, which is just continue to outwork people. I've had, when I coached at Wiley and I coached at LSUA, that was a lot of my mantra as well. Just, we're going to outwork you. He puts me, he knows I like to live in the gym. Anybody that knows me know I'm a guy that lives in the gym. So I'm in the gym as much as possible with guys, just trying to help improve, individually, team-wise, whatever we can do to help take our guys up another notch. I'm trying to help do it.
And then you got your first head coaching job at Wiley. But you was fairly young when you got that job, G. Talk about what made you feel like you was ready to take that job at Wiley and how that process went. Because, I talked to a lot of different guys in the coaching game, and they get offered coaching jobs, and they always tell me something like, it got to be the right timing. It got to be the right fit. I passed on this job and that job. But you took that job at Wiley, and you was hella successful. You won the first tournament game in over 50 years, I think it was, and came in second in conference your first year there. You had some All-Americans and things like that. But what was it about Wiley that made you feel like that was the time for you to get your first head coaching job and take that opportunity?
Well, again, you hear a lot of people talk about timing. And, every move I made, the timing just felt right. I was at Como High for 8 years, took a program that a lot of people said we wouldn't win at. And, Coach Malonson was coming from Class B, where he had a ton of success, and he took on a 5A school. And a lot of people said, you'll never win at Como. And, we were able to flip that around and took that school to its first top 28 berth in school history back in 2013. So, we were able to take a school that no one said we could win at and, made it a top 5 program in the 5A ranks, year in and year out. But going into that 2014 year, we had a coaching change. Rob Malonson was leaving. He went back closer to home towards the Lake Charles area. I worked with Coach Jeremy Whittington, who was coming from Morgan City and came to Como. I worked with him. We had a successful year, won the district, and went 27-6. But it's funny because Coach Sless, who's my boss now, was one of the guys who told me, he was like, Jay, you helping win all these high school games, but you don't have a college degree. So, all that's fine and dandy is great, but, what are you planning on doing for yourself? And he was one of the few people who kind of put his foot in my butt to say, go back to school and get your degree so you can take your career up another notch. And when he said that, it was perfect. Coach Larry Cordero was just named the head coach at LSUA. I'm going to give you a little small story on this, on how the job came about, right, G? So, kid you not, I'm walking to the bus stop, 6 a.m. I don't have a car. Walking to the bus. I work at Best Buy. I was coaching voluntary at Como High School. So I'm walking to the bus stop. I look on Facebook. I see Coach Cordero got the job. I know Larry's always up super early every morning. So I give him a call, congratulate him on the job. I'm on the city bus in Lafayette, going to work. And, we talking, and he thanks me. He said, man, Jay, I may need some help, with an assistant. May not be a bunch of money, but it'll be an opportunity to coach at the collegiate level. I said, well, I don't need a ton of money. This is what I need. I need to figure out how can I get a college degree. He was like, all right, cool, we'll sit and we'll talk about it. So I'm coaching at Como that whole year in 2014. I'm thinking I'm going to LSUA, but not really hearing a whole bunch. Then we go to the top 28, and I'm sitting down with Larry, and he offers me the job at the top 28 that year. So then I go up to LSUA. We have a great run. So I'm a student there. I'm helping, getting college coaching under my belt. Was fortunate to have, we went 86-9 in 3 years. Won the conference all 3 years with a startup program. That was unheard of. That last year, like you said, we went 34-1. Got upset in the national semifinal game. Probably the toughest loss I've taken in my whole career to this day. But, after that season, I was nearing finishing my degree. I had to finish my degree that summer. Well, that season ended, and one of my mentors, Coach Danton Jackson, who was, head coach at Xavier for many years, and now he's over at Alabama State with Coach Mo Williams. He'll do great things there. But Danton Jackson gave me a call and was like, Jay, you need to get one of these head coaching jobs that's open. I'm like, Dan, I don't even have a degree yet. Like, my degree won't be done till August. Like, okay, you need to get one of these head coaching jobs. Like, let me make a couple phone calls. So at the time, Talladega out in Alabama was open, and Wiley College became open. I knew a lot about Wiley, being that we were in the same conference. Coach Sticks had did a great job before me. Danton calls me and says, Jay, you need to call the people at Wiley. Your name's been brought up over there. I'm like, okay, I'm going to call them and do what? I don't have a degree, so they're not going to hire me. He was like, you need to call them. So I mean, I called.
Dad said he put the plug in, man. Go ahead and make the call.
Yeah, so what was crazy was he called Coach Andre Payne, who was at the time was the head coach at Mississippi Valley State. And he was the head coach at Wiley, not directly before me, but before Coach Hartsfield. So he was like, yeah, Coach Smith named and came up down there. If he makes a phone call, he'll at least get an interview. So I make a phone call, talk to the athletic director. He tells me, man, I've been waiting on you to call. I'm like, really? So he was like, how soon can you get your stuff in? So, I mean, I'm making phone calls. I'm scrambling. I'm trying to put together a resume, trying to get all this stuff put in place. I'm picking people's brain on how to navigate an interview. I get my stuff sent down there. A couple days go by. I don't hear anything. I'm like, like I said, they're not going to hire me. Well, I'm going on vacation. Kid you not. I'm leaving out to go on vacation on Friday. I get a phone call the Thursday before I go on vacation. Hey, are you free at 2 p.m. tomorrow? I'm like, okay, yeah, I can do that. They were like, yeah, we're going to do a phone interview with you tomorrow at 2 p.m. I'm like, okay, cool. Well, you know how it is, G. I'm going to Miami. It's June in Miami at the time. So I don't sleep. I'm up. I'm researching the school. I'm trying to learn every piece of fact that I can in case I get asked anything about it. I'm on the plane at 5 a.m. I'm still up reading. Get to Miami. I'm wondering, am I going to be allowed to check into my hotel so I can have a quiet space to do my interview? Get in the hotel room about 30 minutes before the interview. So I go through the phone interview. Everything goes well. I get on the elevator afterwards. I'm going down. By the time I get off the elevator, they're calling me and asking me, can I show up on campus on Monday to come do an in-person interview? So I let them know, hey, I was on vacation. I fly back on Monday. They said, okay, we'll come in on Tuesday. Get over to Wiley on Tuesday. I'm, again, nervous wreck, trying to get everything, trying to make sure I'm on point with everything for this interview. Get the interview, go there, have a great interview with them. I'm driving out of Marshall. I probably just got in Shreveport, which is about 30 minutes away from Marshall. And they tell me, you got the job. We're going to do a press conference with you on the following Friday, on this upcoming Friday. Be ready to come back. It's your job. It happened that fast. In a 2-week window, I became the head coach at Wiley. And I was arguing with Danton saying I'm not getting the job. And in 2 weeks, I was named the head coach. So, I mean, everything's just about timing, man. I mean, a lot of people say it, but, I mean, for me, it's been about timing with every move that I've made. And I've been fortunate to work for a lot of people that I've had relationships with and that have had my best interests at hand. That's a different deal when you work with people that and that have had interest and had invested into you when they really didn't have a reason to, but they were invested in you because they saw something in you that's big. So I've been fortunate with these situations I've been in.
Now, I remember once you got into the coaching game over there while in the LSUA, I think with me and you really, really got to build a strong relationship is on the Under Armour circuit. You was coaching with Coach Jeff Jones and, Anthony Kimball and those guys and coach some really, really good players. Talk about how coaching on that Under Armour circuit helped you build a lot of relationships throughout the state of Louisiana. I know you brought like kids like Josh Anderson and Josh LeBlanc, kids like that to some pre-mill camps. And I even remember, like we talked about, when Jamin Brakefield came and played with you guys for a tournament or two. And at the time, Jamin Brakefield, people are talking about this kid as a potential pro. He's playing at Duke this upcoming season. And yes. I saw you coach that kid, and I saw how you held that kid accountable. You just don't see that in the AAU game anymore. You know, AAU was kind of gotten watered down as far as when you see coaches really holding kids accountable and really teaching them the game. And I saw that firsthand on the circuit what you doing there. Talk about how that helped you along your coaching journey and how that helped you build relationships and prepare you to the coach that you are today.
Well, you know, just Coach Jeff Jones, me and him. So I would always go work all the Under Armour events. So I was there at all the Under Armour sessions, watching every team on the circuit play. And it was crazy because when Josh Anderson and Cedric Russell and all those guys were playing 16U, it was crazy because I would always have a court to run at a certain event. And it seemed like they always ended up on my court. So I watched them play a bunch. And me and Coach Jones just, you know, we started developing a relationship there. And I talked to him about, you know, just the opportunity to join this program and, you know, wanting to help, you know, develop kids in Louisiana, you know, help take their IQs up another notch, help challenge them more, you know, give them a different perspective. And also, you know, it was good for me because, you know, I got to make a ton of relationships with those kids. I got to make a ton of relationships with college coaches. And just from a coaching aspect, you know, it's crazy because, you know, Jeff Jones he's won 6 or 7 state titles in a decade. And, you know, a guy with his stature in this state to be able to say, hey, I brought you in here, you coach the group. I'm going to take the backseat to you. That was huge. And it helped my confidence as a coach. It gave me an opportunity to coach some of these kids and just get a different outlook. You know, it's one thing when you're coaching kids in college. It's another thing when you're coaching a group of kids in the AAU. You know, Louisiana is not like other states where, you know, you get all summer in the AAU like some places. You know, these kids, you get them for a stretch in March to April. They go back to their high schools in June. Then, boom, you got them again in July. So, you know, being able to, you know, talk to those kids and get them to buy in and, you know, trust what I was saying to them as a coach and them believing in what I was saying, it was a fun process. And then, like you say, you know, dealing with some kids that were some high-level kids. I mean, you know, Jamin Brakefield was a fun kid to coach because he had a lot on his plate. So, you know, it was really good working with him to, you know, understand like a kid, you know, at the time he's top 20 kid in the country. And, you know, he's trying to figure out how he can make sure he getting the McDonald's All-American game, Jordan Brand game, you know, a lot of pressure to make sure I perform because he wanted, you know, offers from the blue blood schools in the country. And, you know, just a lot of it for him was just talking to him about relaxing and playing and, you know, trying to put him in the best possible spot and then giving him another outlook on, you know, you can be effective this way, this way, this way, this way, and not just thinking this is the only way you have to be effective. And for him to, you know, trust me and allow me to coach him. I mean, I know you sat close to the bench a lot, so you saw some of my coaching methods with him, but for him to allow me to coach him was fun. And I mean, also a lot of those other kids, I mean, you know, the Josh Andersons, the Josh LeBlancs, Jalen Cook was another one. I mean, you know, there was a lot of high-level kids in Louisiana that we had over the years. And those kids came in the program. We were able to coach them hard. Those kids played extremely hard and took pride in, you know, what we were trying to get accomplished. So it was a fun process for me working with Louisiana Elite.
But Jay, you know, a lot of people probably don't know they call you Bug.
Definitely.
But I remember, man, when I was at Southeastern, and, you know, we talked about this before. And, you know, my boy Terrence Moore, I used to come down there and he used to bring me the booze while I come hoop with you guys. And I remember, like, the first time I came down there and he was, my boy Terrence was like, gee, he said, I know a dude that go to UL. I promise you, either he know more about sports than you or y'all on the same level. I was like, hell no. He was like, bro. He was like, hey, he gonna be in Bourgeois today when we go hoop. He said, watch. He said, watch how smart he is on the court. Watch how his IQ is for the game. And I kid you not, bro, the first time we went and played at Bourgeois and I got to play with you with B Monster and Wheezy and Slim and all them boys. That
college days right there, man.
Man, that was so clear. I enjoyed coming down and hooping with y'all boys. Y'all boys used to be hooping in the gym on Sundays. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I took a real appreciation for that. But I said all that to say, that's when I really got to see your basketball mind and how you think the game. And, even when we finished running and we on the side just talking about sports and the basketball, the intricacies of the game, I really got a real appreciation for how your thought process of basketball and sports in general. And I knew then, that was way in 2004, 2005, that I knew that coaching was going to be your calling. But when did you know that coaching was going to be your calling and it was going to be your passion?
I'm going to be honest with you. It was always told to me. I didn't want to hear. So, my guy that I view like my older brother, has been a mentor. Toby Saints, the head coach at Livonia High School. He coached me at Point Peace Central. I went to UL, wanted to go, went through the walk-on tryouts and all that stuff. Called him, Coach Lee giving me a look, but I don't know if it's ever, if it's gonna work out. This team is loaded down here, and he was like, "Man, I know you." I mean, they made the tournament in a 5-year window. The dudes with the
That's when they had T. West, huh?
Yeah, T. Wade, Orion Green, Dwayne Mitchell. Yeah. So crazy thing was in that 5-year window, a lot of people don't know. I mean, they went to 3 NCAA tournaments when we were in school and 2 NITs. So there was a ton of talent on that team. So I didn't make the team and, made a lot of relationships down there in Lafayette when I went to school there. And Toby Saints was like, "Man, I know you want to play and all, but I really believe you're a coach. I think that's your calling." And, 18, 19 years old, I'm not trying to hear that. I'm trying to hoop. So when I turned 22, my son was born. So yeah, I'm 22 years old, college dropout, working full-time at Best Buy, with a son I have to provide for. A good friend of mine was working at Best Buy with me. He was a volunteer coach at Como High School. He was getting ready to get his, finishing his college degree. So he was going to take on another job where he was named the assistant coach and was getting paid for the job and everything. And he asked me, he was like, "Man, me and you sitting here and we talk basketball all day long. Como needs a volunteer assistant coach to replace me. Is that something you want to look into?" I'm like, I'll look into it. So I go over there. I meet Coach Rob Malone. He's going into his first year as the head coach there. And once I got going with it, I was like, this is what I can do. I can do this all day long. And after that, I'm going to be honest, from 2006, I ain't looking back at nothing else. Everything I wanted to do was coach basketball, nothing else. And I'm going to be doing this for a long time, hopefully.
Why do you think that people feel like Louisiana basketball is behind? And if it is behind, what are some things that we need to do going forward as a state to get us on the same page as far as exposure, as far as kids developing the right way, as far as kids being able to get recruited like some of these other top tier states like in California and Texas and Georgia and up north?
My take on that, man, is those kids that have left the state over the years, I hate to see that because I think the more high quality players we have in the state, the better. But I understand those kids are doing what's best for them, and I respect it, and I totally understand it. But what I will say is when people say that Louisiana is behind, my response to that will always be for us being one of the smaller states in the country. I mean, I can go down the list of pros that we have. I mean, you turn on the TV and there's Robert Williams from Shreveport, Louisiana, playing in the Boston Celtics uniform. That was a first-round pick. Damian Jones from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, played at Scotlandville High School as an NBA champion. Jacob Evans from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, is an NBA champion. Big Baby Davis is an NBA champion. And then we can go down the list of Brandon Bass, Marcus Thornton, Jarrell Martin. I mean, we can go down the list of pros that we've had. We can go down the list of McDonald's All-Americans that we've had in the state. Guys that have played in the Jordan brand game like Javonte Smart. The guys that we have that are playing professionally overseas. Guys that we have playing professionally in the G League right now, like a Brandon Sampson, like a Trayvon Thibodeau, a UNO privateer that played with the Fort Wayne Mad Ants. I mean, so when people say Louisiana basketball is behind, I mean, we've had a ton of successful basketball players from this state over the years. I mean, and for, if you break down the amount of people we have in the state for the amount of pros that we've had, I think we've been pretty successful. So I would just say for all kids out there, the main thing is we've shown that you can be successful right here in Louisiana with the pros that we had. I mean, I can continue to run a long list of them. But, I mean, at the end of the day, it's, making sure you pick the right school to go to, continuing to be relentless and working on your game and improving yourself individually and helping your team win. And, if you do those things, I mean, you're going to have an opportunity to be successful. But the main thing is you got to put the work in.
I know you probably had this conversation with a plethora of people trying to figure out, well, coach, why are you recruiting this kid, but you're recruiting this kid, but you're not recruiting me. So take me through an evaluation process. What are some things that y'all kind of look for that y'all want to like fit the UNO program that people might not necessarily understand when y'all out there recruiting?
I mean, you kind of hit it on the head with the way you broke it down. I mean, a lot of it is just, finding the right fit for our program. And when we say fit, it's, the kid that has enough talent to play in our program, but is also a high character kid. We look for that as well. We look for the kids that take the classroom serious. I mean, here at UNO, it's a real curriculum. You really, Coach Les takes education extremely serious. It's going to be a guy that has to be able to go sit down in the classroom and handle that workload. Also, we're a little different. We practice at 6 a.m. every day. So also what guys can get out of bed and be able to do that day in and day out. I mean, not everybody can do that. Everybody say they want to do it, but not everybody can do it. And, there is some kids that may score more points than a kid that we may take, but that kid may be a better fit with his particular skill set for our program. Or it may be, what are our needs for that year? We may not need a guard. We may not need a point guard. We may not need a post player that year. We may need a certain type of post player. We may say, we're looking for an athletic catch and finish type big as opposed to a back to the basket type guy. Or we may say that, want a pure point guard as opposed to a combo guard that can go get his bucket at any time. It just depends on what we need at that time. And, what I would say to a lot of kids and to a lot of coaches is just, if we don't recruit that particular kid at that time, I mean, it's no hard feelings. It's nothing personal. It just doesn't, we may not happen that time. But what we've been big on is we've always been willing to help people, get to other situations that, because we want to see more kids go on and play from the state of Louisiana. So, I mean, it's nothing for us to make a phone call to another coach, whether it's a JUCO or NAIA or even another D1 that may be able to use a kid. Because, I mean, everybody in basketball talks to each other, and everybody's looking for kids, and everybody's looking to help each other one way or the other. So, I mean, at the end of the day, a lot of these guys are saying that, why am I not being recruited, or that we don't recruit the state, or we don't this, that, and the third. Well, that's not true. We recruit a lot of kids in the state. But we also have to identify the kids that work for our program as well. And I mean, I'm pretty sure other coaches in the state will say the same thing.
Now, before I go, got a couple questions for you, Jay. Here we go. All right. Who is the best high school basketball player you ever seen with your own eyes?
Whew. You know, I've seen a ton of
We both.
them. Yeah. By default, G, I saw Randy Livingston come to New Roads. The gym was packed. Nobody else could get a seat in there. Dale Brown and Clarence Caesar came there, and they couldn't sit down the whole night in New Roads, Louisiana. And he got 40. And I mean, it was a show. I mean, he put on a complete show. I mean, Randy would, in my eyes, would probably be the best one. The second one, probably, I'm going to give you a name and take you back real quick. Edwin Greedy Daniels was a complete stud, G. Two-time champion, back-to-back champion at Cohen High School. But he was a complete stud. I mean, like, you know, being from Louisiana and playing the Magic Johnson Round Ball Classic before it became the Jordan Brand Classic game. You know, he was up there playing with T-Mac and Lamar Odom and all those guys in the Magic Johnson Round Ball Classic. And Greedy was just a whole nother animal. He was a one-man full-court press. Some of the best hands I ever saw. You know, crazy athletic for a guard his size, super quick, just could get it done on both ends. I mean, a lot of people don't know, you know, he played at TCU and played at UNLV. Led the country in steals in both places. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
I had to take it back with that dad right there because he was a special talent.
Mine's is Chris Duhon.
And I don't think nobody will argue with you. My next one will probably be Torres Bright.
That's Torres Bright played my high school. I was in the 8th grade. I think I was in the 7th grade where he came to HL in the second round of the playoffs and dropped 45. I think he missed like 3 the whole game. 3? Yeah. Like, it was unbelievable. Chris Duhon, probably the best high school player I ever seen. I never got a chance to see Randy Livingston. So, you know, but I've heard all the stories, and when you talk to the old heads, everybody say Randy Livingston the best player to ever come through Louisiana. So, I can't disagree with you on that. Favorite coach of all time, and why?
Any level?
Any level.
Harvey Adger. Coach Harvey Adger from Glen Oaks High School.
Oh, yeah, okay. That Coach Ryan Francis and all them.
Yeah. Coach Harvey's a legend, man. Coach Harvey got about 45 years under his belt. Dude missed one day of work in 45 years. You know what I'm saying? You know, Glen Oaks, you know, he probably hadn't had the success in his record over the years with so many new schools coming up in Baton Rouge what he had. But I mean, he had tons of talent over his years. You know, Coach Lester Earl was a McDonald's All-American. You know, he had won championships with those guys when, you know, they were bigger than everybody. Came back with Ryan Francis with 5 guards. One state title with those guys when they were smaller than everybody.
They didn't lose a game.
Exactly. You know, he was just a guy, man. You know, he's always been a guy I looked up to, just watching his teams play, and then being fortunate to be able to build a relationship with him over the years and sit down and talking with him. You know, it's just to see a guy that still invested in doing it the way he's known for 45 years, challenging kids to play hard, challenging kids to play the way he wants them to play, and still watching his teams be as competitive as heck to this day is something special to watch, man. And he's probably my favorite coach of all time.
High school for me is Coach Smith from Peabody. Just the longevity and the consistency that he's shown at Peabody over the years, like with the old school to the new school and being able, you just don't see that from coaches that have been coaching for over 25, 30 years. It's hard for them coaches to adapt to the new school, and he's done a great job of that. And just being able to build a relationship with him over the last 3 to 4 years and just picking his brain and see how he interact with his kids, I got a real appreciation for how he thanks the game and how he understands his players and how he has a relationship with his players off the court. So I think Coach Smith is mine for high school. But in college, Rick Pitino.
Rick Pitino? For me, being in the position I'm in, us losing Big John Thompson last week has opened my eyes up even more to how special he was, watching him as a kid, especially watching watching Allen Iverson play there, watching the things that he was able to do with that program, first black coach to win a national title. So, I got to go with Big John right now, just because the more I think back on it, the more appreciation I have for what I was watching back in the day and what he was able to get accomplished for guys like myself to be in the position I'm in right now.
Right.
So, got to have hella respect for what Big John got accomplished.
Favorite sneaker all time?
So I'm a die-hard sneakerhead. All other places around the state to come, recruit players and get guys, man. That says a lot.
Right. Favorite sneaker all time?
So I'm a die-hard sneakerhead. Everybody I think knows that about me. I'm a die-hard sneakerhead. I don't know if it's my favorite of all time, but the shoe that holds the most sentimental value to me, and probably is where my sneakerhead days started, was my first pair of Jordans, was the black and red Jordan 6s. So for us, we just called them the playoff Jordans because, you got the black pair in the playoffs. But now they got all these names for them and stuff. Now I don't even know what they call them anymore. For us, it was, you got the home pair, you got the alternate pair, you got the North Carolina pair, you got the playoff pair. So the playoff black and red 6s was probably my favorite shoe, still is to this day.
For me, it's the original foam posits. The original, the royal blue with the black outlining, like
outline.
The first foam posit that Penny came out with. That's my favorite shoe. And I've been looking for those shoes for a minute now. And I said, they ever release them again, I gotta get them.
Yeah,
got to. Favorite rapper all time and why?
Jay-Z, hands down. Just the longevity. Jay-Z was that guy. He was kind of like Kobe Bryant for me. Like we grew up with that guy. He got in the game in '96. Watching the growth from the Reasonable Doubt album all the way through his career. Being a freshman in college, running to the store. Unfortunately, tomorrow's 9/11, 2020, and we're talking about me going by Blueprint 1 on 9/11/2001 when the towers got hit, and me still remembering, being in English, entry-level English at ULL, and dude running in the classroom saying that the country's under attack and we're going to war. And I'm like, what's going on? And, seeing what all happened, going by the Blueprint 1 album from Best Buy later that day. And, I mean, it took me back. It's crazy that that's literally like 19 years ago.
Right.
Tomorrow. You know, that's crazy. Sheesh. But, I mean, Jay-Z his ability to, you know, go from being the guy that, you know, what he did and how he's grown into the business mogul that he is now, but still being able to rap with some substance and still give some motivation and a lot of the stuff that he's talking about is different. I mean, he's a guy that's used his position to not.
We definitely got to do another Zoom interview, man, in the near future, Coach. Before you go, you got to let everybody know, man, who you rocking with.
Hey, man, y'all already know what it is. I'm rocking with G-Sportz all day, every day.
There it is, man. Coach J. Smith, UNO assistant basketball coach, man. We signing out. All right, Coach, appreciate you.
All good, man. Thank you.
Appreciate it.